Hello, I'm Amy Hale, hypnotherapist and relationship coach. The fact that there is a misunderstanding about the topic of shadow work and how it helps with getting what you want out of life. Some people might call it the law of attraction or just getting what you want in life. So I'm making this video to help dispel the myth in hopes that you will gain insight into the nature and function of the human shadow. Now, your ego, which is merely a term for your identity, which is entirely yours the moment you are born. Once born, you become socialized. You confront the idea of good and bad, right and wrong, acceptable and unacceptable. You begin to notice early on that things that are good get you rewards and love, whereas things that are bad get you abandoned or rejected. That being the case, your awareness becomes divided into two. A mirror image of the ego actually forms. So just like there are two sides of the same coin, the ego represents both sides of you, conscious and subconscious mind. The things we store in our subconscious have a profound impact on our disapproval of ourselves, the unsavory aspects of our personality, and a significant portion of that will be dictated by your upbringing and the culture in which you were raised. So now, as soon as you express disapproval or negativity, you have a reason to suppress it, reason to ignore it, reason to deny it. And this is one reason why it becomes subconscious. Eventually, you stop noticing it. It's basically a coping skill. Since we are unable to perceive it, the subconscious could be compared to a shadow, and we could call the conscious the light, because we are aware of it. Separation and division are not natural states. Consequently, your subconscious mind continually strives to bring these divisions to your attention, urging you to notice and integrate them. Now, we observe this phenomenon in our daily lives, especially when we are triggered by certain situations. For instance, if our partner is late, we might become frantic, overanalyzing the situation for an extended period. This intense reaction often reflects our subconscious shadow surfacing, seeking integration. Shadow work involves bringing the subconscious into consciousness and accepting the unacceptable. This integration leads to greater self-awareness. Some spiritual teachers, life coaches, and psychologists advocate for shadow work, while others criticize it. Detractors argue that focusing on the shadow will only manifest more shadow, or that attempting to clear the subconscious will perpetually reveal more issues. These criticisms stem from a limiting understanding of consciousness, resistance, and the law of attraction. If pure positive focus created a purely positive person, focusing on positive things would yield purely positive results. However, this isn't what we observe. Even those who focus on positive aspects still experience underlying negativity in their emotional bodies. For example, if you were to be in a head-on collision and you maybe suffer a broken arm or leg, no amount of positive thinking alone will heal that bone. Instead, positive thinking might lead you to a doctor who can fix it. So if we try to distract ourselves from the broken leg or arm with positive thoughts, we create a mental and emotional conflict between recognizing the serious issue that needs attention and the subconscious desire to ignore it. So why would focusing positively in this scenario help us avoid the broken bone? There's a significant difference between focusing on something positive for its own sake and doing so to escape or ignore something negative. Ignoring a broken bone worsens the situation, much like the issues we try to avoid, which are the contents of the human shadow. Now, the same scenario applies to emotional trauma. If you try to ignore, deny, or suppress the trauma and the associated feelings, it will fester. Positive thinking about something you're trying to suppress emotionally will likely lead you to somebody who can help you integrate that shadow. Resisting shadow work means trying to avoid something. When you realize you're using positive focus to avoid something negative, it's time to release the resistance and confront what you're avoiding. You have to face it directly rather than avoid it. Avoidance stems from a place of resistance. When I say don't think about a green monkey, you inevitably think about a green monkey. This is what happens in the subconscious when we use positive focus to avoid thinking about something undesirable. It's like ignoring your feelings while telling yourself, don't think about how you feel. This only intensifies those feelings. Eventually, they magnify to the point where you must confront them. We resist our shadow aspects, which is why they exist as subconscious elements. So, what should we do? If we do nothing, we inadvertently focus on those issues and send them energy without realizing it. Ignoring or denying our reality often manifests physically as illness or other conditions that we cannot ignore. We don't just suppress negative things into our subconscious. We also banish unacceptable positive things. Idealization is merely the projection of suppressed positive qualities onto another person. So for the purpose of this video, I'll focus on the unwanted or negative aspects of ourselves that we've banished into our subconscious. When it comes to suppressing unwanted traits, the next step toward a more positive vibration isn't finding a better feeling thought, but becoming aware. It's like shining a flashlight into a dark closet to see what's there for the first time. Awareness alone brings immense relief and makes you feel authentic and grounded. We fear our shadow, which is why we resist it. By becoming aware of it, we understand it. And understanding is the best way to diminish fear. So now, positive focus works, period. However, it has a major caveat. Positive focus works on everything except what you're using it to avoid. Many of us are thrilled to discover the power of positive focus because it seems like a magic pill or a get-out-of-jail-free card that can help us avoid all the unwanted and unpleasant aspects of life. Unfortunately, many coaches reinforce this idea by promoting the notion that the law of attraction or similar teachings will ensure a happy and healthy life solely through positive focus. However, if we're excited about positive focus as an escape mechanism, it indicates that we have significant issues we're trying to avoid. Whether we realize it or not, a large part of our consciousness is dedicated to past traumas. We're like emotional cripples, aware on some level of our pain, but reluctant to acknowledge it. We'd prefer to believe that positive focus alone will miraculously heal us. The law of attraction, simply put, is a law of mirroring. Whatever vibrations exist within you are matched by similar vibrations in your external reality. Like it or not, the shadows within you are points of attraction because they are part of your being, attracting corresponding signals, vibrations, and experiences into your life. Now, these shadows must be integrated to stop being points of attraction. I often use the analogy of a radio dial when discussing attraction. If you set your car radio to 89.3 FM, you receive the corresponding signal of 89.3 FM. Simply put, this means that when you tune your frequency to joy, you attract experiences that bring you more joy. However, this only works if you see yourself as a single dial. In reality, you're more like a switchboard with multiple dials, each contributing to your overall frequency. Now, you have a different dial for each aspect of your life. For instance, your relationship dial might be set to despair, attracting relationships that cause you feelings of despair, while your career dial could be set to elation, attracting career opportunities that make you feel elated. Now, improving the frequency of just one of your dials can raise your overall vibration. However, saying that turning one dial in a positive direction improves all dials is inaccurate. No matter how much you focus positively on your career, body, friends, if your dial for romantic relationships is set to a negative vibration, those relationships will remain uncomfortable and unpleasant. This might lead you to believe that positive focus doesn't work. People often feel discouraged from shadow work because they think it will create an endless cycle of more shadow work. However, this belief is inaccurate. Consider that a person is made of pure source energy and integrated consciousness when they enter this life, much like a bright light. As they experience traumas, they don't gain darkness. Instead, their light becomes obscured. Shadow work is like wiping the dust off a window. You don't need to create more light. You simply remove what is blocking it, allowing more light to shine through. So this is what happens to your vibration when you do shadow work. It naturally rises because the elements that were weighing it down are integrated. They no longer diminish your vibration. Saying that focusing on shadow work leads to more shadow work is like saying that washing dishes means there will be more dishes to wash. This is obviously not the case. People who have dedicated part of their spiritual practice to shadow work can attest that the more you engage in shadow work, the less there is to do, as more aspects of your subconscious mind become integrated. However, there's an exception to this rule, which explains why some people feel the opposite is true. They have entered what I call a healing crisis. If during your childhood many parts of you were deemed unacceptable, you might have relegated many aspects of yourself to the subconscious mind. Because of this, you may have rejected more of yourself than others have. As a result, your metaphorical closet is bursting at the seams with skeletons. When you begin shadow work, it can seem like opening Pandora's box. This flood of emotions can feel like an emotional or energetic flu overwhelming you, much like the actual flu, where you feel sick and can't stop throwing up. It's easy to think your life has gotten worse since starting shadow work, but this is a healing crisis, a purge. Now, ironically, this is when most people abandon shadow work and revert to their old ways, even though they're on the verge of a breakthrough. If they persist, they will integrate their shadows and they will experience freedom, wholeness, and peace for the first time. Why is it important to face your fears? Because when you confront your fears, they lose their power over you. You're no longer resisting the unwanted, running away from it. Instead, you're shifting into a state of allowing by accepting it, which prevents it from hurting or haunting you. Like a ghost, your shadow will haunt you until you shine a light of consciousness on it. Focusing on your shadow does not create more shadow, because shadow exposed to the light of consciousness ceases to be shadow. Thank you for listening. Until next time, thank you.